Hello. So today's notes, we are talking about areas of circles and sectors. And so last class we did circumference and arc length. So that's basically one dimension measuring distance. And now we're going to measure area of the same things. So it's just a continuation of circles. And so we have two formulas today and 4 examples. So our notes hopefully will be fairly quick. I want to apologize ahead of time. Philip, my puppy, is sitting right next to me chewing on a bone, so you might hear him chewing on his bone. I tried to move him, and he just came right back. So, whatever. That's what happens, right? Remote learning. Here we go. Okay, so our first theorem today is area of a circle. And the formula for the area of a circle is pi times the square of the radius. Oh, I didn't have a picture for this one. So if I want to find the amount of space that a circle fills, I multiply it by the radius squared to pi. So pretty simple. So we have 2 examples. So if you want to pause it and try the examples and see how you do. Our examples are find the indicated measure. Example A says that the radius is 2.5 centimeters on this thermometer here, and we need to find the area. So I'm going to write down my area formula. Area equals pi r squared. And then I'm going to plug in the radius. So I have pi times 2.5 squared. And I'm going to remember use your pi button on your calculator. 2.5 squared is 6.25 times that pi button. And I'm going to get approximately, so make sure you use the squiggly equal sign whenever you round. So approximately 19.63, and my units are centimeters, and I'm doing area, so it's centimeters squared. Okay, our next example, we are asked to find the diameter when the area is 113.1 square centimeters. So once again, start with my area formula. Area equals pi r squared, and so let's see here. Area, we'll plug in 113.1. And so here, what I can do is I can solve for the radius. And remember the relationship between the diameter and the radius is the diameter is 2 times the radius. So if I find the radius, I just need to double it to find the diameter. Okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to divide by pi. Remember, pi is just a number. So I get 113.1 divided by pi. And if you want to plug it into your calculator now, that's fine. I like to leave everything until the last step before I plug into my calculator. That way you're not rounding a previously rounded answer, because that can get you in trouble. You might not get the exact answer. So now I have that 113.1 divided by pi is equal to r squared. So if I take the square root of 113.1 divided by pi, that's going to give me r. And on my calculator, here's what I would type in. I would type in square root, and then I would type in parenthesis, and then 113.1 divided by pi, close my parenthesis, okay? And then that will give you approximately 6 is equal to my radius. And so then if I want the diameter, so then the diameter is going to equal 2 times the radius. So my diameter is going to equal 12. And my units here are centimeters. Okay, so diameter is about 12 centimeters. Okay, our next definition is the sector of a circle. And so the sector of a circle is basically a piece that is cut out like a piece of pizza. So the official definition is that it is the region bounded by 2 radii of the circle and their intercepted arc. And we'll talk about what intercepted arc is in the next example. Okay, so the sector of a circle is bounded by 2 radii and intercepted arc. Okay, of a circle. So just think piece of pizza. Okay, here's our theorem about the area of a sector. And so you can see on the circle down here, that yellow shaded region, that's a sector. The ratio of the area of a sector of a circle to the area of the whole circle which we know is pi r squared, is equal to the ratio of the measures of the intercepted arc to 360 degrees. Okay, so intercepted arc, let's talk about this. Intercepted arc is just the measure of the angle that goes from between your radii and the center, okay? So that's our intercepted arc, okay? That's what we're talking about here. So we have two things. So the area of my piece of pizza or my sector to the entire area, okay, is going to be the same as the ratio of that angle to 360 degrees or the entire area. Okay, so it's just fractions. So the fraction of the area that I want to the whole circle is equal to the fraction of the angle measure to the whole 360 degrees. Okay? And so if I wanted to solve for just the area of the sector, then the second equation, area of the sector equals the measure of my arc AB, remember that's just the angle, divided by 360 degrees times pi r squared, which is the area of the whole circle. Okay, so let's remind ourselves. So measure of arc AB is equal to the measure of angle APB. Okay, and we want the smaller one. Okay, because APB could also be this. That's what I mean by smaller one. APB could be goes from A to P to B and make a larger than 180 degree angle. Okay, let's do some examples. If you want to pause it, try the examples on your own and then hit play. It's a good idea. Get some practice in. Okay, the first one says find the areas of the sectors. So when it means sectors, that means that we want the blue and the red. So we have two things we're trying to find here, formed by angle UTV. Okay, so let's do the small sector. So area, let's divide it up. So let's do red sector, which is the small one. So we're going to do red sector, which is the small one. All right, so remember my formula is the area of sector UTV divided by the area of the whole circle, which is pi r squared, equals that 70 degrees over 360. Okay, so that's just a proportion. So it's just fractions. All right, so let's fill in my pieces here. I know that my radius is 8, so my area of my sector UTV is going to be, I'm going to multiply both sides by pi times 8 squared. Okay, pi times 8 squared. And 8 squared is 64. So now I get 70 degrees divided by 360 degrees times 64 pi. Okay, and I just plug that whole piece into my calculator all at once. And I get that the area of my sector is approximately 39.10. And then my units here, well, they don't give me units, so it's units squared. Okay, now let's talk about that larger sector. Well, we have two options. We have the option of finding the area of the whole circle and subtracting out the area of the sector we found, or we can use our formula again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the formula again, just for extra practice, and then we can make sure that the two areas add up to the whole area, okay? So that'll be a way to check our answer. Okay, so now let's do the blue sector. So the blue sector is larger, so I want the area of the larger sector. Well, let's see here. Larger sector. I could also call it UTV. Let's call it let's call it sector USTV. There we go. Okay. Area of that divided by pi r squared is going to equal, so this isn't 70 degrees now. We want this whole angle over here is going to be 360 minus 70. So that is 290 degrees. So I have 290 degrees divided by 360 degrees. Once again, I'm going to multiply both sides by that 64 pi. because that will cancel this piece down here. Plug that into my calculator, and I get that the area is approximately 161.97. So now what I want to do is I want to make sure, and that's units squared, and I want to make sure that these two together add up to my whole circle, okay? So let's check. So my check area of the circle is pi r squared, which is pi times 64. Let's check what that is. 64 times pi. I did not do this one ahead of time. My good old trusty pi button gives me 201.06. Oops, 0.06. Okay, square units. All right, so then if I add 39.01 plus 161.97, I get 200.98. Pretty good. Okay, so then I'm checking, this plus this, when I add those up, they have a sum of 200.98, which they're so close, so I'm happy, okay? It's just rounding. Okay, next, our last example today says use the diagram to find the area of circle V. So in our diagram, we have that our intercepted arc is 40 degrees, and the area of that sector is 35 square meters. And I want to find the area of the whole circle. Okay, so let's think about how we might do this. So let's write down our proportion. So our proportion says that the area of sector TVU divided by the area of the circle, which is pi r squared, is going to equal that 40 degrees divided by 360 degrees. Okay, so the area of the sector, we can fill that in. They give that to us. That's my 35. So I have 35 divided by the area of the circle. So area of the circle equals 40 degrees divided by 360 degrees. So I'm just going to leave that as a capital A instead of area of circle. All right, remember this right here is just the formula for area of the circle. And I'm going to cross multiply. So I get 40A equals 35 times 360. And then I'm going to divide by 40. And so I get that the area is going to equal 315 once I plug that into my calculator. And my units here are meters squared. Okay, that is all for today. So go ahead and turn in your notes on Schoology and try the homework. Thanks.